morning, students. In today's class, we'll be studying about the arrays. There's a unit there's a topic which is covered in three. We are going to have a discussion on the previous topic. We'll also study in this class what is an array, why do we need an array in C programming, how to declare an array in C, how to access elements of an array, and how to initialize it. In the previous class, as you know, we had studied about the functions. We have studied about the system-defined functions. We have studied about user-defined functions, how a user-defined function can be created, what is calling statement, what is function prototype, what is function body, how parameters are passed among the functions, real parameter. And also we have studied about what is an array. An array is a data structure in programming which can store a fixed size sequential collection of elements of the same data type. Array in a C is a collection of items stored at contiguous memory locations, and elements can be accessed randomly using the indices. They can also be used to store collection of primitive data types such as integer, float, double, character, etc. of any particular type. So we can say that an int array holds the elements of int data types, while a float array holds the elements of float data. Now, if you see this example, we are considering array size as 5. So if you take an array size of each of this component of the array, as you know, it is a contiguous memorization. So you can use indices to access the element of the array. So indices 0 will be used to access the first element of the array. Similarly, indices 1 will be used to access the second element, and so on. So therefore, if you want to take an array where you can store 100 elements, or where each element are a floating point, then you need to declare the array something like float, then the name of the array, and then the size. So 100 here will be the size of the array. Now consider a scenario where you need to find out the average of 100 integer numbers user. So in C, you have two ways to do this. One is define 100 variables with data type and then perform 100 scanf operations to and enter values in the variable, and then at last calculate the average, which is very problematic because handling 100 variable is not a easy task, and you make a lot of mistakes while doing. Another option is have a single integer array to store all the values, group the array to store all the value that you want to enter, and then later calculate the average. In this case, you don't have to remember those 100 variables, only single name, which is single name for this array variable is sufficient. So which solution therefore is better according to you? The second solution, because it is convenient to store the same data type in one single variable rather than using 100 variables. The following diagram represents an integer array that has 12 elements. The index of the array always starts 0. So array having 12 elements is going to have index 0 to 11. Now here you see at the bottom I have written down the indices, but whereas at the top you see these are the memory location, because as you know, although the memory that has been assigned to your program is a contiguous memory location, and each component is going to be going to have a same memory size. So therefore, the first element is having first address of the first component 200, then the second will be 204, depending on the amount of memory that is being allocated for each component, and that also depends on the type of array you are declaring. To declare an array in C, you have to specify the type of the elements and the number of elements required by an array as first data type, then the name of the array, then the array size within square bracket. For example, int, that will be data type. Data is the name of the array and 100 is the. Here we declare Here we declare an array. Here we have declared an array data of integer type and its size is 100 as I have told you. So therefore you can accommodate 100 elements. It is important to note that the size and type of an array cannot be changed. It is declared. Therefore, it comes under static method. You can access elements of an array by indices. Like for example, if your array is having name mark and is of size 5, then you can access the first element as by mark 0, second one 1, then mark 2, then mark 3, and accordingly mark. So array, always you remember here, array have 0 as the first index, not 1. Example, so therefore mark the first element. If the size of an array is n, therefore the last element is n. So therefore in this case it is 4, not the 5, as the size is 5. Suppose the starting address starting address of mark 0 is 120, then the address for the mark 1 will be 2024, means 4 byte each. That depends on the type of the array you are taking. Here we are assuming that because it is a floating point, floating uh, variable, mark is a floating point array. So therefore we are assuming that each component has a 4 byte. Now how to initialize an array? Now suppose your array, of course we are taking a one dimension. If our array is of size 5, so I can accommodate 5 elements. So if you want to initialize the declaration, then you can write down within curly bracket the elements like for array mark whose name is mark and of size 5 and data type is int. We are initializing by 19, 10, 8, 79. So therefore mark 0 is going to contain 19, mark 1 is going to contain 10, and accordingly mark 4 is going to take 9. You can also initialize an array without specifying size, like for example in without giving size at the square bracket 19, 10, 8, 7, 9. In this case, the compiler will, depending on the elements with whom you are initializing, it will assign the initial size. Suppose another one where you are initializing, but if you want to substitute some different values in third element, then you can write down by mark 2 is equal to -1, then 8 will be replaced by 1. Similarly, if you want to the fifth value, if you want to assign with substitute with 0, then you can always write to 0. Thus, in this particular class, we have studied how array can store a fixed size sequential element. Right? Items stored at continuous memory location and elements can be accessed randomly using indices. The index of an array always start with 0. The size and not be changed as it is as it comes under static memory allocation. So for the references are concerned, these are the references that we have followed. Just looking through these references. If you have any query, you can always place your query in this. No? Thank you.